here at Monza. Uh, Once again, I hope that my internet won't cut out. As we have our co-commentator with us today by the name of Nico.
Hello.
Hello,
Good to be here.
again. But this
Yeah,
time you're with me, finally.
yeah.
Yeah. So, I just want to ask you, how do you think turn one will turn out into the on the first lap?
Um, uh, I'm gonna predict there's gonna be something going on. Some sort of little tap or something, probably. Um, it's a really long run down to the first turn.
True.
And it's a very tight turn. So most likely something's gonna happen, but I hope it doesn't. But I'm predicting that there might be a little bit of wing damage by the end of it.
I think we'll at least see one tire coming off one of the cars.
Oh,
I'm not hoping for it, but it's
yeah, that's
quite
most likely.
promising. Most likely, yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you think Bottom will do on his first flying lap around Monza?
Um, on the softs, so hopefully gonna be going for one of the fastest times. Let's see, we have Buttons on the softs. Okay, both Alfa Romeos on the softs. Same with T Funky. And then we got a few medium runners, but no one on the hards yet. So we'll see if anyone goes.
Yes, Swanee on the hearts actually.
Oh, someone's on
Coming
the
out
hards.
now.
Oh, all right. Um, yeah, I'm not sure how the tire wear is here, so it might be a soft to medium, or if
Yeah.
someone starts on the hards, it would definitely be hard to soft.
True. But we're gonna have Button here. Sector 20, first sector of 26.2. It's quite a good run for the chicane, but it could still improve. Someone is wrote in the chat that we're gonna have a wet race today. Increased braking distance, so the first turn you will have to take it perfectly to avoid going over the curbs or the sausage curbs.
Yeah.
So we will most probably
With,
see some drivers going wide if we have a
yeah.
wet race. That is.
Oh, and we have a yellow flag, but I think that was just T Funky getting out of the way for someone else.
So Button has it the first time here at the 120.7. That's quite an average time. I think he can still improve. But Cobalt goes second now with 121.3. He's looking faster now than he did at Spain, where he was around like 1.5 laps behind at the end of the race, if I recall correctly. So we have Mayo going on a 122.2 with George with 121.8, making up into the podium position.
We have a yellow flag in sector 1. Not sure.
I think the yellow flags are mostly for drivers letting others pass.
Yeah, like slow cars.
I usually ignore them during qualifying, but
yeah.
we will probably see some yellows during the race, mostly in the
If there's ever,
chicanes.
if there's ever like a yellow flag, since it's you that's streaming, I'll just quickly like go through every driver and see if there's something going on.
But
So
we have
Button,
sorry.
sorry, Biden currently still leads by around 6/10.
Yeah, around 6 tenths. So we're gonna have Peril here going to the first sector. He's 2 tenths faster than Button, so he could actually get a provisional pole here in Monza. He Peril has been consistent throughout the last four free races, primarily at in Russia, so at Sochi, because he was leading the race for almost 75% of it, and when he actually pitted, he came out ahead of I think it was Diglett actually in second during that race. So I think Peril is the safest bet if you are thinking about provisional pole. So Bazooka is in the fast time of 1:20.2, but I think that Peril will actually beat that by around a second.
Ooh.
Almost, it goes into the 119s, going around 3 times faster than Bazooka. So I think I was right by predicting that Peril will be on provisional pole during his first flying lap.
Yeah, he's been very fast the last few races.
True.
Including, yeah.
But T-Funky didn't set a really that good of a time of 1:42.
Yeah, I believe on his flying lap he had to slow down for
Yeah,
the
maybe.
cars, I think, that were close to him, so it kind of ruined it. But he'll get another run.
Sadly. Anyhow, we only have one driver on hards, and that's the car of Swanee. We have mostly soft, so I think that we will probably see some two-stop strategies, but maybe even a one-stop for those on hards, which is the only, is only Swanee at the moment, or who I mean.
As long as nothing goes wrong for Swanee, if he's still on the hards by the time he does his fastest lap, it'll definitely be a one-stop for him. But the soft runners, as you said, yeah, it could be soft, medium, or soft.
I'm actually gonna think soft, two-stop soft, if you just drag it out. But otherwise, we'll probably see like medium, and soft. At least my preferred strategy. Or going soft, medium. Any of those works. But I feel like stretching out the first stint is a good strategy because the high speeds at Monza, so and tight corners, so tire will be quite high. So starting on mediums will actually be a good call, going back to mediums, and then being on the fastest tire during the last stint, so you will be able to catch up to drivers that are ahead of you. Or do you agree, or is there something you want to add?
Yeah, it's gonna be quite interesting to see as we have.
The Dead here is currently on his first flying lap, or his first set flying lap, as he goes for sector 2 with 53.9. I wonder if that's good enough.
A little bit of oversteer at the Ascari.
So the top 9 drivers have set their fastest times on softs, and there's only 10 and below who are average on mediums.
T-Funky just had an accident at Ascari, and Cobalt was coming, and Cobalt crashed as well because T-Funky was
is that a Vettel and Stroll moment?
Yeah, in the real race. Yeah. It was very similar. It was like right at the same spot.
Maybe not spinning, but still.
Yeah, I think he went on the curb too much and then hit the wall, and then he came back onto the track and you couldn't control it, and then Cobalt had nowhere to go. So that's really unfortunate.
Whose fault do you think it was?
T-Funky wasn't rejoining the track. He was just stopped, trying to put the car in gear. So I wouldn't really say anyone was at fault. It's just a really bad, really bad timing that they happened to be.
But if he would have spun and then just gone out on the track without looking, then it would be his fault. I'd assume.
Yeah.
But we have James here going on to his first flying laps of the session. The drivers right now aren't really managing their ERS that much, so most of them will actually have zero deployment during the last sector. The way I would go about it is like doing only hot lap on the main straight and maybe the other DRS zone, but otherwise I will have it on overtake and high during the corner, so you save a little bit of ERS till the end. So you will have a faster lap overall, but maybe if you only do a hot lap, you will only have the 2 fast sectors and then 1 slower sector. If you get what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. As James here lost control throughout the Scary, and that is his lap ruined. But he's gonna try to reset it now and just keep going. Probably gonna go into the pits, changing out the tires, and just coming back and trying again. With it being only 5:30 left, so he should have time.
For at least one more lap.
As you have all the drivers except James on soft right now, so we could actually see more fast laps getting set during or while the session goes on.
The top 9 currently all are on softs.
Yeah,
with,
no, the top 15 actually.
Oh, top 15?
Yeah, because the only
top
one.
15. Oh.
Yeah, the only one on mediums is James. So we probably see some. We will probably see some, maybe not faster than Peril, but we will definitely see some position changes in the top 3. Or at least that's what I think.
Okay.
As Peril is another fast time, surpassing his old time by around 4 attempts, making it to 119.5. As it goes.
Parallax goes on at the first chicane.
Yeah. That braking stone wasn't really with him that time.
Yeah, and it's... Yeah,
but Cobalt makes a faster first sector with around 0.2 seconds or 2 tenths. So he should actually go up into 6th, maybe even 5th, if both the Red Bull of Maestro and the Torosso of Ryder can improve on this.
Invalid.
And it appears Blackwell and regular George both have the exact same time on the softs. 121, 454.
Well, I'm thinking like
so,
Jackie Villeneuve and Schumacher moment. I don't remember which track, but I think it was in the 95, 96?
Yeah, 1997 I think it was.
Yeah.
It was actually the final race.
No,
three
of them set the exact same time.
Yeah, I think it was Villeneuve, Schumacher, and Frentzen, I think.
I don't remember.
It
was a long time ago when I saw the video.
Yeah, I wasn't even born.
Exactly.
I don't think either of us were.
I just saw it on video, so.
Yeah. Oh, Parallax has retired.
Yeah, he's probably fine. He's probably okay with that time. But he also did that in Sochi. So he got from 1st down to 14th. And actually we had a really good recovery drive from 14th, or was it even 17th actually, to 1st. So that's a really good recovery drive as one of the Saubers goes over because on the runoff of turn 1, the suburb of Button, so we could actually be having some issues with the front wing right now. If you see, if you have the telemetry on, you can see a red marker there, which shows that his front wing is a little bit damaged. So he will probably go in and will not be able to set another flying lap.
So
as
Tourish
Cobalt
is on
now.
his lap.
Oh, sorry. Taurus?
And,
Who did you say is on the flying lap?
Tourish, James Tourish is on his flying lap, and
Yeah, you say James.
T-Funky is into pits.
Yeah,
So
most of the drivers are in the
qualifying.
pits right now. Button here is gone plus 12, so he's just gonna go straight into the pits, just like every single driver. I'd assume, as 2 drivers goes out actually, who are the drivers of Bazooka and Dead. As I have one more driver going, making it up, going up the order, which I think was James actually making it into 4th. So that was a good run by him.
Yeah, very good. Only 3 milliseconds off of Bazooka Joe.
Yeah.
But
if he just stays
will he
out, he could actually improve. As he lets as he lets Blackwell pass, so he won't improve the lap. But I think it's I think that lap was, and I can't speak English, of course. I think that he thought the lap was really good, and he will probably be really happy with that. As for most of the drivers, that is probably correct. Especially in the top 5. I'd personally be happy with top 5.
yeah, it's really close. So
True,
top 5
true.
would be very. I'd be
Yeah,
quite
the
happy
top
with that.
5, but then we have Peril just shooting with around the 6/10.
Yeah.
So we're definitely gonna see Peril on pole, but the times are quite even between first and last, with around 4 seconds. So, or 3.5 actually. So I
As
think
Blackwell goes 6th.
Blackwell. Let's see. He's far enough back to not go any higher. He could probably get a good run in the midfield with a slipstream during the start. So have someone retired, which was the car of T-Funky. I was just gonna have the drivers go over the line, because most of them aren't probably going to set another lap. But James now in sector 2, sector 1 goes 2 times quicker, so he could actually get higher and maybe even make it up into 2nd. Like just Anyhow, going down the
Sanka.
2nd year or so, Sanka dead. It's on
It will
minus 0.06 second sector. As James crashes out into through Ascari. Another Vettel move from the Ferrari. That could become an inside joke, as he has now retired. As he knows that his lap is ruined and he won't contribute to any further. I can't say time loss, but yeah, time loss.
As I believe the Ryder's the last car to come in. And that's
True.
qualifying done.
In the first season, at least Hyper said that if you are on a flying lap, just cross over the line, because there's no point waiting on a driver in the pits, which takes around 15 seconds.
Yeah, it takes
or
more time.
Yeah, true.
As we're waiting for the rider PG Killer, here to announce today's sponsor is, of course, Hyper, and it's Highland Spring. Make sure you drink water. Thanks.
Oh, water. Speaking of water, let me drink some right now.
Same right here. But we had a really good qualifying today. Peril going into first with who is the only driver to break the 119 mark with 119.5. Really great work. And then we have Pains with second, Bazooka with third, James with fourth, which I wasn't really expecting, Button in fifth, Blackwell in sixth, Maestro in seventh, T-Funk in eighth, Dead in ninth, Ryder in 10th, Cobalt in 11th, Colin in 12th, George in 13th, regular George in 13th, and then Gypsy George in 14th, Swanee in 15th, Mayo Man in last 16th. We're gonna see some fast, but we're gonna see quite a few pit stops, with most drivers going on softs. But as we already predicted, not predicted, but someone told us, we're gonna have a wet race, so increased braking distances, and maybe some carnage into turn one. Any thoughts?
Yeah, with all the cars trying to go as fast as they can, and with the corner being so tight,
Plus
and
the
with it
wet,
being
slippery.
wet as well, yeah, it's gonna be it's a pretty bad formula for
True. Even
for
I've
not
I've
having.
raced here in the rain. I think it was last season. Even it's hard for me to make turn one. So I think we're gonna see drivers brake a little bit earlier, or they're gonna go past and have to navigate the straight chicane. If you know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
Mhm. In my own league, it was a wet race here this season for the season I'm currently in,
Yep.
and on the last lap I crashed, so I was very angry at that.
I
But
think I think I made it, but I was quite far back in like 12th, 13th, somewhere around there, in the bottom 10th at least. Wasn't 10. But who do you think will actually come out on top? Any of the midfield drivers, top 5 drivers?
I'll say for the front five, probably Parallax. He seems to have the speed
But
to be able to pull away.
we have only seen him so far on dries, so maybe he's
Yeah.
not that good. His setup isn't probably meant to go in the wet, so we're probably gonna see some other drivers.
Yeah, maybe I'm getting really close, and yeah, we'll see who makes mistakes as well. He could spin or anything.
True.
It's very
I
easy to do.
I think that his or downforce isn't really that high compared to the others, so he will have a harder time braking. So the other drivers will maybe not have the straight line speed, but they will probably get him during the corners. Especially Bazooka, in my opinion, because he looks the fastest and the most consistent right now, in terms of cornering.
Also, you have to keep in mind that between each race, you have to think, not only do these drivers have to worry about the corners, but they also have to worry about how long this rain's going to last as well, because this rain could last the whole race, and it could get
Strategy.
worse.
You are very right about that. So maybe we'll just see inters throughout the race, or even drying up later during the race. But we will probably see heavy rain coming in around 10 laps later. Well, on the 10th lap. Thanks Hyper for the insight.
Me?
Or
I
the
didn't say
rain.
anything.
Or the rain might actually get worse. So it could be intermediate to full wets.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't really know right now, so
True.
it'll be just it'll be a surprise.
But I'm thinking it's gonna be inters for the entire race or even dry. But anyhow, we go have 1 light, 2 light, 3 light, 4 lights, and 5 lights, and okay. My game has froze. I mean, we're probably off. Oh, there we go. Now we're off.
There we go.
For the
Lights
race.
out.
There was a really long lights out.
Yeah, a really long hold.
True.
Parallax leads.
Oh no, it's 4 wide.
4 wide. As we have
Alfa Romeo.
yeah,
going
Alfa
wide.
Romeo going off. As we have many,
bumping.
some of the drivers getting tapped. I think it was Dead going off actually. No, it was actually Button who has had the best time. As Button and Ryder, they get contact, and Button is forced out into the gravel, where he is now sitting in 16th. The poorest start of this race comes from Button with a -11, and the best one actually comes from Swanee with going +7. But many of the drivers are only up or down 2 positions.
James
But we have
Torres
James
lost a
dropping
lot
off.
of positions.
Yeah,
Yeah, he missed the second Degner.
did they lose
Yeah,
grip
he has,
on the curb?
Yeah, he just lost it at the second Degner, from what I saw at least. And I'll just add your race instant report, just to oh, there goes Colin as he's... Ooh, he's just crashed
Huge
into
crash
no
for
man.
Scotty. Yeah,
And
5
Colin
second
gets a fun.
penalty.
Oh,
Crazy.
Well, there's some
Very
wing damage.
unfortunate.
Probably going into the pits now. Do you think he can make a good recovery drive from this, as Perel goes over the line with 1:35.6, which is the best time yet? But do you
anything's
think he can
possible
get...
at Italy.
True. Especially in the wet.
Oh, as you should watch T Funky and Racing Meister right now, going side by side into the first corner.
Ooh,
With
a couple
some-
cars going
Some
wide.
taps
on the first
in the rear. The cars of Ryder and Cobalt actually making it, going over the Sussex curb. Same goes from Mayo Man actually in the Renault. So many drivers are missing the braking point. Maybe they aren't used to the wet, as we haven't had a wet race in a long time since was it Silverstone?
Regular George unfortunately out crashing at the long right hander with Gypsy George, I believe.
Yeah, same. Both Georges.
Funky.
So a father and a son there crashing out with each other.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Whose fault was it? I didn't really see. I didn't have time to change.
I don't know, I wasn't there either.
You're the steward.
Now I am the last George remaining.
True.
Haynes almost lost there to Scurry. He slid a little bit. Or
Yeah,
quite a bit,
Pink's
actually.
going with the slipstream right now. Probably looking to get them Bazooka during the start-finish straight. We'll probably see them going wheel to wheel, but Bazooka right now is pushing away. But maybe we'll see Payne's, as I said, side by side, and we could actually see some wing damage as they now go wheel to wheel into their first corner. We have Payne on the outside, but he misses his braking point, and they just crash during turn 2, wheel to wheel. So Payne just went down into his original position with probably some wing damage. No wing damage, but his fuel consumption is on minus. So I think
lot
a
of
big
cars.
yeah, cutting first corner. As for Colin right now, we have some drivers going fast as
Ooh,
Blackwell
has
goes
just
off into
crashed.
gravel.
Yep, something very similar to what Mika Hakkinen did in 1999, I think. If I'm-
Do you remember when Raikkonen's suspension broke on the last lap when he was waiting
Yeah.
for McLaren?
That was
Nice-
really
good times.
Oh, Blackwell spins again. His tires are too hot, or because of the spin, first spin, probably caught him out.
Yeah, probably. But his tires will be damaged now, so he's probably going in for a pit stop a little, maybe even a lap or two earlier than the other drivers, because he has now been on the gravel twice. As his grip is deteriorating, going into the wall at the end of the turn. As Bazooka gets the fastest time of 1:31.8. Some good times actually. But it being in the wet, I think that's the most drivers can do right now, because grip levels aren't that high in the wet. So if you would be so unfortunate to accidentally grab some slicks, you will literally be a sailboat.
Ooh, Swanee getting past Racing Meister with a really nice move there through turn 1 and turn 2. I don't know if you saw it.
Sadly, I didn't. But I think Maestro here will try to get back on Swanee, as he is closing in and cutting the corner. I don't know which corner it is, sadly. But if we had DRS, would this race look different from now, or do you think it would be similar, Nico?
I'd say probably, well, like, what the rain does, it doesn't only like disable DRS, obviously, but
It
it
reduces grip levels.
like, yeah, the grip and everything, it spreads the whole field out. So if like with it being wet, it's not only harder to drive, but it's also harder to race. Like wheel to wheel with people through corners.
True.
And so DRS would, if it was dry, it would be a lot closer because of DRS. So let's see.
But do you think Maestro can get back on Swanee right now by only using Slipstream? As we see him getting closer and closer. But same goes for James on the Ryder, getting closer. The fastest one right now is maybe Button, actually, as Dead goes over, or it cuts turn 1. We're gonna see quite a few drivers going over the sausage curb in turn 1, or the first chicane and the second chicane, as James jumps on the sausage curb onto the gravel. So he has lost the position he got right before the second chicane. As Dead and Cobalt goes wheel to wheel, but Cobalt actually comes ahead of Dead, but Dead taps him in the rear, making him go onto the gravel, as his teammate has also passed him. But we have Blackwell now go on to another set of intermediates. As I suspected, he went in earlier than the other drivers. But Peril is gonna lap Blackwell right now. So just like in Spain, Blackwell has been will probably get lapped, or will get lapped. But Dead now is gonna try to slipstream on his teammate in the wet. I think the strongest force right now is the slipstream, so we will probably see some good overtakes in the first corner. Maybe because drivers are locking up, or they're missing their brake marks. As we have both Mayo Man and Colin going wheel to wheel on turn 1. And Colin comes out ahead of Mayo, but these two drivers will keep battling throughout the race, with us only being 6 laps in. I feel like it should have been longer.
Yeah, the rain's making time go slower, it seems.
True. I think the two alphas are taking a little bit slower throughout the scoring, because they know that it's being wet, the grip levels are reduced, so they're probably looking to just stay where they are and just increase the amount of points they can get. As T-Funky now is gonna try to go into the first corner with his teammate, but he does not succeed, and will probably try it into a score, because he is too far away to try something into second chicane. But yeah, the field is fanning out as T-Funky cuts the second chicane, going getting even further back from Paynes right now. Pains has replaced the driver of not replaced, but maybe it's a reserve driver because he has replaced Hyper for this race.
In the McLaren.
Yeah, in McLaren, exactly. As we have the only two drivers who had set or done stops were the drivers of Mayo and Blackwell. Stephen gets a 3-second time penalty, probably for corner cutting or something else. But we're probably gonna see T-Funk now closing in on his teammate, maybe going wheel to wheel, but it looks like he's far enough back to not succeed. As Collins goes past Button, who has now retired. Why, I don't know, I probably crashed into a scar, as it seems, with the yellow. But we will probably see that on Mayo's POV. Yes, please. Well, unfortunately we didn't see the incident, but we could actually see some wing damage on the left side of the track. So we probably shunted it during the exit curve, as T-Funky has gone off, retired from the race. I think he lost one of his tires actually. By the looks of it.
It was at turn 6, I think. The first.
Yeah.
Let's know.
But we're gonna have Ryder here trying it on Maestro, but he may be far enough back, as I've said earlier, to not succeed. But he looks like he's getting a really good run throughout last turn. He could use the slipstream to his advantage, or he will probably just shunt it through turn 1. I think he's looking to just getting closer to Maestro, maybe getting him into the second chicane, as Maestro takes the corner quite tight. So Ryder has a better exit, and is now looking getting closer to Maestro and looking to get him down the inside of the second chicane. But he does not try for the dive bomb and stays in 6th. Probably just looking for the DRS zones, or those straights where he could actually use the slipstream to his advantage. So Nico, as you have now seen 4 drivers with DNF crashing out here, do you think we'll see even more drivers DNFing throughout the session, or do you think it will stay at this amount of cars?
Probably, I'd probably say we'll have one more.
One more.
Who that will be, I'm not sure, but I think it's gonna catch someone out eventually.
Probably. That's where Bazookas in the first time who won 131.6. Exactly 3 times faster than Peril's fastest lap, which is quite interesting. But Roger now going to the pits to change out his intermediates on the 10th lap. But they're being wet. They are. They have less tire wear because of the surface, so it doesn't get they don't get as hot and don't degrade as much. So that's why the tires last longer. So we'll probably see the drivers pitting again during lap 18, maybe even 19 to make it a 2-stop.
So Bazooka Joe, pretty close to Parallax now. and we have James pretty close to Maestro.
Yeah, I think James has an easier fight right now than Bazooka and Peril, because Peril and Bazooka are more even in terms of times than the drivers of James and Maestro. So we'll probably see Maestro here, no, James actually, getting past Maestro at least next lap. But I think one of them will actually go into the pits. But we will see. As we have none of them going into the pits, but James get a really good slipstream throughout the main straight, and they are now wheel to wheel going into the first turn.
Side by side.
But Maestro gets the better braking point, and he stays ahead of James, who has taken the second turn a little bit tighter, but he gets the slipstream again, and he's probably gonna try it down the inside on Maestro on the next chicane if he tries to make a dive bomb. But Maestro actually pushed away a bit, using the dirty air of his car to his advantage. But James gets a better run on the exit and goes past Maestro. And a nice move done by James, but Maestro is probably hungry on getting the position back during the second DRS zone. So I call it back straight into a scory. But James has done quite well. Just some nice overtakes, keeping the drivers at bay behind him. But he has unfortunately decreased his position to 5th from the start of the race, where he was 4th. But Swanee has made a really good race today, or as of yet, going up into 4th from 15th. No, 14th. What's the 15th? I can't.
As he
but
goes,
as he goes off,
on.
yeah.
Yeah.
Probably gonna be a penalty. Later, yeah, 3-second time penalty.
And Bazooka Joe is getting closer to Parallax. Under a second now.
I think these drivers could actually be exchanging positions if we had DRS. So they could like one get him pass on the back straight and then another overtake on the main straight. So we're probably gonna see them going back and forth if we had DRS. But they are still quite close, so they could actually be going back and forth during the race, but it won't be as frequent. I'd say. But most drivers have high, far gaps, with most of them being over a second behind each other. The one who's the furthest behind is Mayo to Cobalt with 28 seconds. So the top bottom two that are still driving are probably not gonna get any points during the race, but we never know. Maybe someone crashes out.
Ooh, another penalty for Blackwell, unfortunately.
So now Blackwell closing in on Mayo Man. But if he just gets past, he has multiple penalties, so if he just gets past and keep it there, he won't increase his position, unfortunately. But he gets a good run on Mayo Man during the exit of the corner. But he is playing a little bit safe here, not being too aggressive, so they don't crash out each other. That's some good racing in my opinion.
Yeah, Ryder's just hit the wall out of Scary. He has damage now, so he might be pitting.
Yeah, I can see that his damage is going wide in the last turn. That's gonna be a wing change.
Most likely, yeah.
Yeah. Have you actually seen someone break the back wing or rear wing? I mean.
No, I've never seen that.
You still have the marker there, like that determines the level of damage on the back wing. But then you must like go up on another one's wheel and then it's go into the rear wing. If you make
It's
it
Blackwell
damage.
and Mayo Man are wheel to wheel.
Wheel to wheel, yeah. You are right, as Blackwell has the inside line, but Mayo Man covers him off, and Mayo will probably stick to his position as they are banging on the tires a little bit. As Blackwell loses grip and goes onto the grass.
Ooh,
Another
no.
incident, losing, going all over the track as Ryder also goes past. Same goes for thing. Yeah, that's Payne's overtaking him. But I think Blackwell is one lap behind. Mayo, Ryder, and Blackwell are one lap behind. One lap behind Peril. As I think Peril will probably be coming up on Cobalt and his second now. Or am I wrong? Quite wrong.
Yeah, they're still a little bit away.
True. But we could actually see him getting blue flagged during the end of the session.
Yeah. Oh, Parallax pits.
Peril going to the pits. My Bazooka at the same time. So I wonder who is the best with the clutch to get out faster. As their pit boxes are behind each other, but they have the same gap as they did while coming in. As Pinks also goes into the pits, looking to get another set of intermediates, which will probably be his last pit stop for the session, or he may come in because of damage or similar. But Swanee is in first, hasn't pitted yet. No, he hasn't pitted yet, but he has, if we just take a look at his position changes, he is up by 14. By 14. This has been a really good race for Sony actually. So if we see him continuing like this, he will probably get up into third or the top 3. So a podium is looking quite a high. There's quite a high chance of Sony being on the podium at the end of the race. But we've seen most drivers taking these tires, or at least the drivers of Swanee, James, and Colin taking the intermediates on a 14-lap stint. As Blackwell continues to be struggling with grip during the session. Does he have a broken front wing? It doesn't seem like it.
Oh, Swanee comes in. That's
Swan into the pits now. We could it appears a bit around for 20 seconds. So he will probably get to fifth. Fifth, I'd say, or yeah, fifth is probably where he'll end up.
yeah, either just in front of Payne's or just behind.
Yeah, that looks quite.
Yeah, just behind.
No, not just behind. Around 2 seconds behind.
Oh, okay.
Which I was right by saying. 2.3. So I was right out of guessing. As Maestro is gonna try during the main straight on his teammate with by being 0.7, no 0.9 seconds behind. The two Red Bull drivers will probably.
Mayo Man.
Yeah, so changing out positions quite rapidly, as both drivers are getting blue flagged as the session goes on. But I think the two Red Bull drivers should actually keep their positions, not battle too much. But I know that the drivers want to get more points in Drivers' Championship, but to increase their championship, constructor championship points, they should actually stay here and not try to battle that much. But we have a few penalties going out from some of the drivers. But Peril has set another fastest lap of the session by going at a 1:31.2. So if you can see them, have you ever seen a driver in the wet making a similar time as in the dry?
No, there would be no way.
Maybe. If you were Schumacher. As Colin goes into the pits, making his main rival and teammate, or letting his main rival and teammate past. Colin is probably gonna go down into 9th, as it seems right now, with Ryder being around 27 seconds behind Cobalt. But the only one on 2 stops right now is Ryder, so we will probably see drivers only making a 1 stop, or we have seen drivers only making a 1 stop, rather. I just want to ask you, Nico, about these penalties. Who do you think will get an increase in position, and who will get decreased?
I'm not sure who has penalties, but for the fight for first, I can see who has. Okay, so Parallax has at least 3 seconds, and Bazooka Joe only has warnings so far, I'm pretty sure. So at the current moment, Bazooka Joe would win if they finished the same distance apart from each other.
As one of the Torossos goes onto the gravel, with it being the driver of Ryder. Ryder hasn't had the best race right now, as he has now retired from the session. A 2-stop race from Ryder, a couple shunts during the corners, so this race is over for him, sadly.
Who was?
Sadly.
The front
But
two are still very close.
True. You are very right about that. But we're probably gonna see Bazooka trying with the slipstream on Peril. With them going wheel to wheel on just first turn, we could actually see one of them or both of them actually take each other out if they aren't careful. So it's when you are racing here at Monza, it's good to have good discipline by making sure that you don't crash, because a tap in the rear could ruin the entire race for you because of the slower speed corners. The drivers are looking quite set on their position right now, with there being around a 10-second gap between drivers, except the drivers of Swanee for the battle of third, and Bazooka for the battle of first. As you can see, Bazooka hasn't really managed his ERS that much, so his ERS deployment is high, but he needs to save a little bit, maybe just going up on medium and then doing none during the corner, so he gets more ERS deployment later in the race, which is probably the most useful, where the tires have degraded a little bit more, and drivers are probably going to be closer then. But Bazooka is trying to make a dive bomb on Peril, but it didn't work out as he thought it would. So they continue to be battling it out for first. But if someone would to crash out, who would you think that is? We saw a button earlier, so yeah, I'm sorry if I interrupted you, but I'm gonna guess dead actually. This dead Alfa Romeos hasn't been looking that great during or throughout the session. Maybe even the other McLaren of Pains. But do you have any other suggestions? Who do you think could actually be unfortunate enough to ruin the race during one of these corners?
As of right now, I'd probably say, just because their tires are the oldest, Mayo Man, because by the end of the race his tires will be pretty worn, so higher chance of spinning.
True. The maximum of laps we've seen the driver go is 14. But if he is able to stretch it for 6 more laps, he is probably set on trying to getting close to the Colin and getting that 9th position, maybe increasing his points made to 2 instead of 1. But you also have Cobalt on a synth of 10. So if he just continues, his tires will probably have integrated enough to make his grip levels be worse. Or maybe even be worse than Mayo Man.
Right. Bazooka Joe is, or was, right behind Parallax there. They're getting,
Yeah, he is getting closer and closer, but Peril is good at defending the inside, so with this battle we're probably going down to the wire actually. If I may say that. What do you think about our sponsor? Is it good enough?
I'd say so. For now, definitely.
Yeah. Because of our small viewer base, if you can say that.
Yeah.
The small sponsor is a really good feat for us, and for the life expectancy of the channel or the league.
Yeah.
But if you look at Bazooka's deployment, he is around 10% every single time, but he's getting inching closer and closer to Peril, but he loses control throughout the second chicane, as Peril still has a first place right now. But I think Bazooka now will try to getting as close as possible and making it go down to the wire, with them probably going side by side into or over the finish line because of their equal speed. But if Bazooka continues to manage his ERS perfectly, he could be set on a win. Peril has more deployment to use with 30%, as Bazooka only has around 5, or an average of 10 right now. So his deployment isn't looking that good. But he's trying his best to manage it, trying his best to stay up there, staying up there and what is it? Forcefully, not forcefully, but as I have forgotten English entirely.
Trying to manage it while trying to stay close, I suppose, to Parallax. So it's still around a second now. It's been a couple times he's been really close, but with the spin or the little loss of control, It's set him back a little bit, but he's going to be close soon again.
That was the word I'm looking for. To pressure Peril into making mistakes, and then Berserk could have a chance to go past. But he's probably gonna try here with the slipstream by only being half a second below Peril. But Peril is a good defender, so as we have one driver ahead, which is the driver of Cobalt.
Yes.
Cobalt cutting the corner and going on blue flag. As Peril, Bazooka taps Peril in the rear, going past the blue flag car of Cobalt. The bottom three right now have been blue flags. So there's a big gap between the level of skill between the drivers because of the amount of blue flags. But do you think Bazooka could actually pressure Peril into making a mistake and getting up in the first during the last laps here?
Definitely. We'll have to see what happens, of course, but
Yeah, of course.
it's looking like with a couple little things that have happened in the past few laps, it's looking like it's going to be hard for Peril to defend, but he can do it, so it's always possible.
Of course. As we were saying, it's always possible. This goes for everything. Even pit stops, of course. If you just bog down, that's pretty much the race ruined. So every mistake you make has potential to ruin the entire session. But I think the two drivers of Peril and Bazooka are using wheel setups, so they have more control over the cars than maybe some other drivers who are using pads. So it will probably go down to the wire. Who is faster, Peril or Bazooka? So we will find out soon enough. But we're soon over the line for the second last lap of the race. It looks like Peril will stay first and get the podium that he actually deserves. He went first in qualifying and will probably now go first during the race. But if he just makes a mistake during the braking zone, Bazooka is set for the win.
And Blackwell is spun.
Blackwell is spun. Ascari. Yeah, when I raced here at Monza, Ascari was a big deal for me, as I didn't have the throttle control to keep keep the grip level during Ascari. I spun 2 times, but fortunately I did not crash, so I could keep on going. Though I only had to change up my front wing, and it turned out that I came in 9th, so I was really happy with that. As Blackwell's grip levels are deteriorating, but Mayo with the highest tire wear right now with his tires. Of his tires, who has gone over for 18 laps and has still not crashed out, which is a very good drive done by Mayo. As Peril now goes over the line for the last lap of the session. Do you think we're set for the end of the race?
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be close, and penalties may come into play.
True. Mostly in the midfield, where penalties are most problem. No problem. Where there's a high risk of penalties. I'll just say that. The midfield is fast, but sometimes they don't have the skill necessary to drive at peak performance all the time. The drivers of Bazooka and Peril are a little bit closer to that average, being on the maximum performance.
As Swanee is really close to Paynes now.
Yeah, he's probably looking to getting past him during the last lap right now, make it into third, the podium position that he actually deserves, in my opinion, with him going from, I think it was 14th.
Yeah, to 14th to third it would be.
Yeah.
As Parallax wins.
And as the first lap with 131.0. But could just want to get the slipstream here on Paynes and make it up into third? I think Paynes has defended good enough to keep third place, as Cobalt gets a 5-second time penalty. But now go over the line. Peril in first, Bazooka in second, and Paynes in third with work, as James go over the line fifth. Rexy Maestro and Dead will soon follow. But we have 5 drivers out of the session because of crashes. Do you think we could see some of this or similar behavior during the next race?
Depends if it's wet.
True. But I think that most of the drivers are, as I said, the race is now over. We saw some really good overtakes in the midfield. Some, unfortunately, we saw a few drivers crashing out. But for the most part, it has been a very consistent race in the midfield. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And we have the podium.
Of course. Some good drives. I'm gonna give a driver of today to the driver of Swanee in the Merc. Going from plus 11, going from 15th to 14th, was it? No, 4th, I mean. 15th to 4th. So driver of the day would probably go to Swanee.
Yeah, I would say the same.
All of the drivers at the end of the session with his time penalties. The highest penalty comes from Mayo with 20 seconds, but anyhow, we have Peril in first, Bazooka in second, Paynes in third, Swanee in fourth, James in fifth, Maestro in sixth, Dead in seventh, Colin in eighth, Cobalt in ninth, Mayo in 10th, Blackwell in 11th, Ryder in 12th, T-Funk in 13th, Button in 14th, Gypsy George in 15th, and then in last place the regular George. We have seen some really good overtakes today. A few drivers couldn't handle Ascari. Most of them couldn't handle the first chicane. But as I said earlier, driver of the day would go to Swanee with going plus 11. But this has been very fun. Thank you, Nico, for being here with me.
Thank you.
And I will see, exactly, it's been good. But I will see you for the next race, where we will be taking it to So we will be taking it, onto Suzuka in Japan. The S section there could potentially be disastrous for some of the drivers, and maybe the second sector of Suzuka. But anyhow, this has been Monza, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.